Good morning, Nigeria. It's Monday, the week is fresh, the politics is loud, and the headlines are already rewriting the national mood. I'm Oluwayemi Adelako, and this is Daybreak Live, where we interrogate power, challenge the narratives, and decode the stories shaping our democracy.
All right, good morning, and Sam Simbalogo is my name. We begin with a political report that turned into a wave over the weekend. Prime Minister Ayodele says his statement on Igbo presidency has been misinterpreted, but as every Nigerian knows, in politics, perception and often eats other than intention.
Exactly. Whether misquoted or misunderstood, the controversy has reopened an old debate, zoning, identity, and the future of political inclusion in Nigeria. It's a reminder that one comment can spark a national conversation, especially when it touches old wounds.
Right, that's actually right. Coming up shortly, Daybreak News brings you the key developments across governance, justice, and the economy, and the shifting alliances in Abuja.
Yes, then we dive into the newspaper headlines and analysis with a sharp insight from Victor Akile, who is a political scientist and, of course, a public affairs analyst, who helps us cut through the noise to review what's driving today's agenda.
All right, shortly after that, we'll take you through the big story. We head straight into the heart of politics and Nigerian new direction or new division. PDP's future after Ibadan convention. Is the opposition rebuilding or quietly tearing its own seams? That's one thing we'll be discussing this morning.
Definitely, and helping us unpack that is Temitope Ishola, historian and public affairs analyst, bringing both context and clarity to one of the biggest political questions of the week.
Well, we'll wrap up the show this morning with Trend Watch, where we track the nation's pulse from what's trending to what's troubling on social media.
Definitely. It's Monday, it's starting, and then with something very powerful. You know, the starting line of a long political week, and we're right here with the stories that matter.
All right, this is Daybreak Live. Of course, firm on facts, sharp on politics. Good morning once again.
Good morning, Samson.
In the studio this morning.
Definitely.
Well, there's a lot to talk about this morning. The social media has refused to let go of some headlines, and of course, the Prime Minister Ayodele came to debunk some of the stories that actually unfolded over the weekend and said, look, my statement on Igbo presidency was misinterpreted somehow. You know, sometimes you have to understand the place of politics and the place of prophecy. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, we have mixed some things up, and most people would not interpret things the way you say it. That's why you have to be expressly clear about what you say to the people. Yeah. And it's even more troubling that it's coming from, a cleric, and that is well respected. And some people are pointing towards bigotry at this time, saying, look, yes, we understand the fact that you are from a certain region of the country, you probably hate our home region, and this is not a prophecy, this is your own stand as regards Igbo presidency in the country. It is really troubling to see that happening at a point where the country is more or less like at an edge where decisions about the future of the country is to be made. Take, for example, the election for the 2027 general elections is just around the corner. That's 2027. But yes, things that will shape up 2027 is already happening. The PDP had their convention in Ibadan over the weekend, and most definitely some key decisions that affect the party was made. The local party will have theirs, the ADC will have theirs, even the APC will also make some key decisions. And this is the time where things are unfolding. For a cleric to come out and say some things and then he says it's been misinterpreted, I mean, that's a lot to handle for him at this time.
Honestly, when I had to go and watch the video myself to listen to some of the things that he said, because I know social media, someone can say something and then they will now go and type.
You can imagine if you spoke for 1 hour and then someone decides to cut about 30 seconds of your video and then post it out there. People don't know where you started from. They don't know some places you touched. They only had just a few of the clip and then that's it. Boom.
That's all.
It's all there.
Honestly, it's sad. And then we always talk about danger of single story. When you hear from one party and you conclude it's sad, you need to hear from the other party so you can just balance the story. And so when I watched the video, he said something about a course. He said,
they have to be cleansed.
Yeah, they have to be cleansed of that cause before they can smell presidency. I'm talking about the region. And it's sad that, 55 years after the Civil War, we'll still make reference to what happened back then. I think we need to outgrow whatever it is that happened during the Civil War and just forget about all of those things. Because even in the academic world, when you talk about students who write project dissertations, there's nothing to write again about Civil War. I'm being serious right now. We've exhausted topics on Civil War, whatever it is that happened back then. So can we move on from that? Because I think the problems of Nigeria is hydra-identity. It's beyond one region causing one trouble or the other. Can we look for a way to actually come together? Because this division, I think the colonizers, gave us this problem. They started this problem because they started with the concept of divide and rule. And ever since then, that's why you see that indirect rule did not work in the eastern part because the system was acephalous in nature. It led to the Abaume riot, and they came out to say we don't want warrant chiefs and all. It worked in the western part, it worked partially in the north, and up to date that divide and rule is still in existence. Even years later, when the colonizers have left, they packed their bags. So it's a sad reality that in Nigeria as a country, we like to reopen old wounds whenever something happens or someone makes a statement. Can we move on? Can we look for ways to better our nation? Yes, presidency, he said that he doesn't think they will smell presidency even in the next dispensation. But then things can change. Anything can change. He said, if I don't know whether he said thousands of will be now, if they keep contesting, they might not smell the presidency. But this can change. Let's not focus on the bad side of this. Okay, a statement was misconstrued, but then can we move on from that? Honestly, that's the way I'm saying this matter.
Well, obviously, what he said, he was just trying to refer. I think as Nigerians, we are quick to refer back to what happened in the past and not focus on what will happen in the future. And I think when it comes to presidency or no presidency for the southeastern region of the country, I don't think it has anything to do with the Civil War. I think it has always been about wrong permutations, wrong combinations when it comes to alliances during the election period. I mean, you really have to know where you belong to. Take, for example, during the President Muhammadu Buhari administration, the Southwest gave full support to the North. And then in return, when it was time for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to come on board, the North gave full support to the Southwest. I mean, it worked that way, at least for the last 10 years now. It has been APC in power, and it was that alliance that worked. And the Southeast and the South-South also have their own strengths. You could remember when Goodluck Ebele Jonathan was contesting to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. A huge chunk of his vote came from the South-South and the Southeast. And of course, he got some from the North and some from the South. That was good alliance. But unfortunately, the South, when it's the turn of the Southeast, most times it is more or less like, oh, we can do it on our own kind of thing. Not sealing an alliance with. You see, in fact, you will see that on social media. Just drop a comment, and then you will see people coming to your comment section and saying, oh, you are from a particular part of the country, or you are from a particular religion. And if that is not stopped, we are going to have a lot of issues. Some people made claims about the fact that Peter Obi even further toured the country across religious line while he was campaigning to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He was seen hobnobbing with major pastors in the country. He was going to their congresses and conventions and the likes. But then some people said, oh, because you are going to churches, that means as Muslims or traditional worshippers, you do not need us. I mean, that for me is one way to say when it comes to being president, it's not just about religion. It's not about prophecy. It's about you being able to seal alliances with people you think have the strength to give you enough votes to win elections. And that's it for me. But whatever it is Primate Ayodele said, I don't think the people of the Southeast will take it to heart or take it too seriously. All you have to do is to make sure that by the time the next general election is coming on board, provide a viable candidate. Seal an alliance with strong regions in the country. We have 6 geopolitical zones. If you're able to woo them to your side and say, look, join us in this cause, and then this is what you get in return. I think that was what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did when he was campaigning. He went from places to places. In fact, at the point, he wasn't even sure he was going to get his own party ticket, and he was a leader in the political party. But what he did, he called a meeting. He was going from one state to the other and saying, look, I'm bringing this to your state. This is what I'm bringing to the table, and you have to join me in this cause. Do not forget that even in Ogun, he said to the governor at the time that Eleyi, as in you understand the idea, like you are one of the people that should be right behind my back, and not those who should be, one way or the other trying to maybe tear me down or something. But in the long run, he was able to win the election. And he's already working on alliances for the next general election, even when the election is not even there. He started with, harvesting governors from the People's Democratic Party, because he knew that if he was going to get enough votes from all the states where he failed in the last election. He needed sitting governors. And no matter how hard you try or how bad the governor is, they are still going to churn out at least a huge part, about 40% or 50% of the votes count in their own state. They will deliver it to the president. And I think that's what he's doing now. So if the Southeast want to be president, all they have to do is to seal alliances, make friends, build bridges, and not, burn them.
Okay, speaking of alliances now, that's why I made mention of the Civil War. And then most persons, if you check Twitter, they are referring back to it to say, okay, maybe because of what happened. The reason why I'm talking about, a Civil War and then speaking about alliances is the fact that a lot of persons, that were alive, or maybe they read about it, maybe they read the right books, or maybe they read the wrong books, are saying that because of what happened during the Civil War and afterwards, and the fact that the Igbos wanted to secede, they are saying that, okay, they might not really want to trust that region so much. Some persons will talk about betrayal, they'll talk about the fact that, okay, they are not to be trusted to that extent, but then that is wrong, totally. And then speaking of development, I think all regions, the Igbos, the Hausas, and the Yorubas, they have all contributed to the growth of this country. And those three regions have also contributed to the division that we are facing today, whether we like it or not. So can we step aside and from things that have divided us further? Can we move away and then see ways by which we can actually make things work for us? Because election is coming now. Look at how intense religion is, making everyone, feel now. Because election is even in 2027. If care is not taken, things might become worse before the election. Don't forget that religion has played a pivotal role. We always play a huge role in every election. And it's a very sad one, because I always make reference to what Kama said. He said, religion is the opium of the masses. Apart from Primate Ayodelina, a lot of pastors, have come out to say a lot of things about one region or the other that have further divided us. I don't want to be mentioning names now, and it is very sad. It's a secular state, for God's sake. Even in the Constitution, we are supposed to separate religion from politics. And so, but I don't know how we found ourselves in this position. Can we make things work? Yes, clerics, pastors, and fathers, they have every right to speak about politics in the society, but then there's a boundary. There are certain things that if you're not careful can really stir some things and reopen old wounds. I think him coming out to say that, okay, I didn't mean it that way, I think it's commendable, regardless of the fact that some persons might not, even care to listen to it again. There's a video made about this. Go and watch that video. I don't want to talk about some of the things he said. He had to start by defining what a primate is. That's what VDM did when he was responding to what he said. So it is a sad one. And VDM is even from Edo State. Right. But then I think he just came out to say that because he's a Nigerian. So people are not, I want to tell you categorically this morning something, that most persons in the Southeast are not taking this. Like, go and check Twitter. It's a mess now. I think his name has been trending for the past 2 days. Even up to this morning, it's still trending on Twitter because a lot of persons are coming out and then throwing up jabs, unnecessary jabs about this matter. Can we move for? It's 2024.
Well, one thing is quite clear, that we'll get dragged until Twitter is not ready to take any more of that. It will fade off eventually, but people will always remember what you said. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, when you purchase a particular good, people don't wait for receipt. They just leave it at that, and then it's just about what they heard and not the counter reaction that came from the opposing end. And just like you said, when you source for information from just one hand, you have to be really careful about what you put out there. You just have to make sure that you balance it off so that you don't look like you don't know what you are doing out there. But going forward, I think there is a lot to be done by religious leaders in the country. As much as possible, you want to talk about politics, you want to talk about politicians, it helps you trend actually. But unfortunately, what it brings, the negative things it brings to the table is way more than what positive it brings to the table. We have seen people who have predicted who was going to win the presidential seat or who was going to win the gubernatorial seat in different states, and unfortunately it did not happen that way. Can we just play the role of a religious leader rather than someone who predicts who wins an election? I mean, there are two different things. We should avoid that. I'm going back to what you said about the Southeast and what history has done to us as a people. I think it's commendable that we have returned history to our curriculum in the schools, but we want to make sure that they are being taught the right things. And of course, if you are a religious leader or you are a leader in your own community and you witnessed any of these things, make sure you tell your people, the people of your clan, the right story. I mean, don't distort stories. I was reading it through a particular piece day before yesterday, I think, yes, and someone was saying, we've been asking for the full meaning of Naira, and nobody has actually said anything about it. And he said, oh, it was never allow Igbo rule again. And if you check the acronym, it is correct. N-A-I-R-A. Yes, never allow Igbo rule again. But is that the meaning of Naira? Is that what it stands for? Is that what the acronym means?
Who's going to prove it to
Who's going to prove it to Nigeria? So history must be taught at all levels. And when it is taught, the right thing must be put out there. So we have to be clear about what we are dishing out to the people, especially the young ones. I've seen people talk about in fact, yesterday I was seeing a video of a particular one. A respected, journalist was having an interview, and someone was saying, a Yoruba person actually was saying, Lagos is a no man's land. Yes, it's located in the heart of the Yoruba ethnicity, and of course in the Yoruba region, but it's a no man's land, belongs to everybody and the likes. And I was asking myself, who taught this person history? And then if he was taught history, did he even go further to read about what Lagos is, or where the people of Lagos actually come from?
So people read on Twitter, and it's a problem. Sometimes I see some tweets, and then I want to respond, but then I'm too lazy to type, because if I have to type long paragraphs.
Explain.
And I don't have the time. So I'll just pray for the person, honestly. Maybe if you meet someone who is less busy, the person can have the time to type and explain. People learn in the wrong way, and then you wonder where they're getting the information from. It's a sad one, honestly. And then the Primate mentioned something. He said what he expects from the Igbos is for them to ask questions about how they can cleanse themselves of the cause. But I don't think that is going to happen, because as it is now, it's more of a grass and bows. They are going for, honestly,
that's where
they are not willing to listen
when
to
you look at, when something happens, especially about a particular region in this country, instead of having a discussion about it, having to sit down and see exactly where this person who made this particular statement is coming from. Can we actually draw, positives from what this person has said? No. What you get in the comment section, there are unprintable names. There are so many things you wouldn't want to talk about on TV or on radio, and you begin to wonder: is this how we are going to move forward as the Nigerian people or as a country? I don't think so. If all we can offer in the comment section is no explanation about what you think, it's about insults. I mean, we have to move beyond that. And I must say, as a country, we have not grown.
At all.
We have not grown. So if that is all we do, I think we are still, where it's not actually strange when they call us, third world countries sometimes, and then they say developing countries.
We are developing country.
I mean, it's not strange. I mean, it's not new. It's understandable. In fact, it's a name we should adorn, because it's obvious that that's where we are.
Honestly.
In some places, I don't want to call it the Sena climes, but developed countries as they call it. When they also go through this kind of things, but then you realize the fact that there are so many people who are knowledgeable enough to tell people, look, what you are saying is wrong, and I will prove it to you. But people don't prove anything in Nigeria. All they do is insult you in the comment section. They don't even want to know why you are making such statements. So we have to move beyond the issue of ethnicity. We have to move beyond the issue of religion. If there's anything, if we are going to have any real change or development in the country called Nigeria, these two things must be set aside. Because before we became Christians or Muslims or traditional worshippers, before you became a person from Ogun State or from Adamawa State or from Port Harcourt, you were actually what we call human beings. So we are human before any of that. So we have to look beyond all that. Until that, if you are still blinded by all of that, I mean, we are going nowhere.
And then lastly, we have to decolonize our mind, because the psyche of in every Nigerian today, is always thinking negative, is always thinking, oh, this cannot work, or this person is trying to attack me. Sometimes even Ghanaians, because I love to solve the internet. Sometimes they will describe Nigerians as best in dragging, because you don't even try. Don't try Nigerians on Twitter.
That's the point.
They are going to drag you to feet. I'm telling you that. Sometimes they'll give us a lot of bad. Sometimes I'll see some bad online, and I'm like, really, how did we get to this point? They'll tell you, do not try us, because Nigerians will drag you to feet. Is that a good one? So apart from the fact that we are a developing country in terms of resources, even our mind is still developing. Honestly, we just got independence, but we have to get that mental independence to begin to see things in the right way. That's how we can have progress in this country.
When we spoke about colonialism, we have not actually removed the issue of neo-colonialism, which is still there.
It's still there.
Till tomorrow. I mean, if we are going to get past that, it will take a lot of hard work. And I must say, the role of National Orientation Agency is to actually sensitize the people on so many things.
And our leaders too, they have opened the doors. I mean, for new colonialism. As a matter of fact, if you cannot read in between the lines, if you are not so versatile, you might not be able to pinpoint the areas where these people have come again to colonize us in a new way, honestly.
Unfortunately, another reason that we will remain this way is the fact that the attention span of an average Nigerian is so short. And of course, their fuse is also short, just like Anika they said the other time.
If you remove it.
So the fuse is very short. And then the reading capacity of an average Nigerian is very short.
If you want to hide something from in Nigeria, just write
keep it
in the book.
Keep it in the book.
Forget
and
about it.
And that's where I will leave it on this segment of the show this morning. Well, now we take weather report, and we'll be starting with the ancient metropolitan city of hospitality, Ibadan. And in Ibadan today, weather currently feels like 25 degrees Celsius, and it is currently clear right here in Ibadan. And later in the morning, it will rise to 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. It will remain so, partly cloudy in the afternoon at 33 degrees Celsius. And it will be clear in the evening at 26 degrees Celsius, and overnight it will drop to 24 degrees Celsius, and it will be mostly cloudy in Ibadan today. So if you are in Ibadan, yes, the weather will be somehow clear.
All right, let's cross over to Lagos this morning, where weather feels like 32 degrees Celsius, and later is expected to be around 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 15%, and later is expected to be around 30 degrees Celsius in the afternoon, partly cloudy around 10%. In the evening, 28 degrees Celsius, clear around 6%, and overnight, 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 5%. That's what we have for Lagos this morning.
Moving on to the city of Abeokuta in Ogun State this morning, and weather in Abeokuta currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius right there, the city of the Olumorok rather, and later in the morning it will rise to 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. It will also remain partly cloudy in the afternoon at 33 degrees Celsius. It will drop to 26 degrees Celsius in the evening, clear, and drop 2 degrees Celsius to 24 degrees Celsius overnight, and it will be mostly clear overnight in Abeokuta today.
All right, let's cross over to Oshogbo, Osun State. Weather this morning feels like 25 degrees Celsius. Later is expected to rise to 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 2%. In the afternoon, 33 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 1%. And in the evening, 26 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 5%. And overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 4%. That's the way up for Oshogbo this morning.
And today in Ekiti southwest in Ekiti State, weather currently feels like 23 degrees Celsius right now. It will be mostly clear. And later in the morning, it will rise 5 degrees Celsius to 28 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. Just like Ibadan, it will remain partly cloudy in the afternoon at 32 degrees Celsius. So it will be mostly clear in the evening at 24 degrees Celsius, and drop just 1 degree to 23 degrees Celsius overnight, and it will be cloudy overnight in Ekiti today.
All right, let's cross over to Ilorin International Airport, Kwara this morning, where it feels like 24 degrees Celsius. Later is expected to be around 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 1%. In the afternoon, 35 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny around 0%. And in the evening, 28 degrees Celsius, mostly clear around 1%. And overnight, 23 degrees Celsius, clear around 7%. That's what we have for Ilorin this morning.
All right, moving on. That takes us up further to the North Central this morning, and that's Suleja in Niger State. We'll take a report from there, and it currently feels like 23 degrees Celsius in Suleja as we speak. The weather is currently fair right there in Suleja. It will rise 7 degrees Celsius to 30 degrees Celsius later in the morning, and it will be mostly cloudy. And just like every other part of the country, it will remain mostly cloudy in the afternoon at 33 degrees Celsius. Also mostly cloudy in the evening at 24 degrees Celsius, and it will be clear overnight at 22 degrees Celsius in Suleja today.
Well, let's cross over to Kaduna Airport. Weather this morning feels like 20 degrees Celsius. Later is expected to rise to 26 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny around 0%. In the afternoon, 31 degrees Celsius, mostly sunny around 0% as well. In the evening, 21 degrees Celsius, mostly clear. 0%, and overnight 18 degrees Celsius, clear around 0%. That's what we have for Kaduna this morning.
All right, further in the far north, this morning we take weather report from Kano Municipal in Kano State. Weather currently feels like 18 degrees Celsius in Kano, and it is currently clear right there. Later in the morning it will rise to 25 degrees Celsius, and it will remain partly cloudy. And by afternoon it will rise to 30 degrees Celsius, also partly cloudy. It It will be clear in the evening and overnight in Kano at 21 degrees Celsius and 17 degrees Celsius respectively in Kano today.
Well, let's cross over to Port Harcourt. Reverse weather this morning feels like 22 degrees Celsius. Later in the morning is expected to rise to 26 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 8% in the afternoon, 27 degrees Celsius, few showers around 32% in the evening, 22 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 8%, and overnight 21 degrees Celsius, mostly clear around 4%. That's where we are for Port Harcourt Reverse this morning.
All right, I think that will be all we can take on weather reports this morning. We say thank you for being a part of the show so far. Do well to link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng. You can also do well to link up with us on our YouTube channel and Facebook, watching us live right there, and drop your comments at Dominion Broadcast on Facebook and YouTube. Do well to click on the notification button, and then when we come online, you definitely get to watch us live. And that is where we leave it on this segment of the show. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll take the news. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Good morning. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. President Bola Tinubu has deployed an emissary, Dr. Abiodun Esiet, to Plateau State with a view to restoring peace and improving intercommunal harmony in the state. This was contained in a statement by Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, in Abuja. The statement said Esiet, a senior special assistant on community engagement in the North Central Zone, has spent 2 days in the state meeting with Christian clerics and Fulani Miyetti Allah community leaders, with the effort culminating in a town hall meeting in Jos, the state capital. According to the statement, delegates from various local government areas, traditional rulers, women and youth leaders gathered to discuss ways to strengthen community-based peace structures and promote coexistence among diverse communities. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund, has disbursed 116 billion naira to cover institutional fees and student upkeep allowances nationwide. The managing director of the fund, Akintade Sawyer, disclosed this in Abuja, describing this move as a milestone in the federal government's commitment to affordable and inclusive tertiary education. According to Sawyer, 60 billion naira has been paid directly to 239 government-owned institutions, all of which included universities, polytechnics and colleges of education on behalf of students whose loan applications were approved. The Department of State Services, DSS, said that its operatives have disrupted an alleged arms supply network linked to attacks in Plateau State and neighboring areas, arresting a suspected arms dealer. Disclosing these in a statement, it said the suspect allegedly manufactured and distributed weapons and ammunition to armed groups operating in Plateau and other northern states. The suspect was nabbed on November 12 following intelligence that led operatives to his workshop in the Mr. Ali area, Basa local government area of Plateau State. DSS operatives were said to have recovered components of improvised explosive devices, chemicals and equipment from the location. A former Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Kabiru Turaki, has been elected as the new national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. His election was announced by a former lawmaker representing Anambra Central in the National Assembly, Senator Ben Obi, at the party's national convention held in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. Turaki polled 1,516 votes to emerge as chairman of the party. In business, Dangote Group has insisted that the federal government's deferment in the implementation of the 15% import duty on petrol and diesel will not alter its long-term refinery expansion plans. The Group Chief Branding and Communications Officer of Dangote Industries Limited, Anthony Tijina, said that the policy shift has no bearing on the company's strategy or timelines. He stressed that the company remains focused on scaling up its production capacity to 1.4 million barrels per day. And in sports this morning, the Super Eagles 2026 World Cup dream suffered a major blow as DR Congo advanced to the Intercontinental Playoff following a dramatic penalty shootout. Nigeria's hopes of qualifying ended, marking the second consecutive year the Super Eagles would miss out on the world stage. The match ended 1-1 after 120 minutes of regulation and extra time, sending the high-stakes encounter to penalties. DR Congo struck and scored the decisive fourth penalty, leaving Nigeria trailing 4-3 in the shootout. You can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast and X at DominionCast. And that's the Daybreak News. I'm Oluwayemi Adilakon saying thank you for watching and good morning.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB event today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us this morning. My name is Oluwayemi Adelako, and soon enough I'm going to turn to my honor list for the day. But then let's look at what is going on. Let's start from Nigerian Tribune. I have this headline that says the PDP convention, our Abuja meeting sealed expulsion of Wiki and others. That headline has as right as party leaders shut down caretaker committee option, battle shift to National Assembly court. But the judge, Capet Adamawa governor, accuses him of insincerity. Ibadan convention, mere social gathering. That's coming from Obi. Ibadan convention was a jamboree. That's coming from Ayau. That's the national secretary of the party. And away from that line, let's also check this one that is saying why Nigeria's power sector regulatory system is in a mess. That's coming from expert. Despite criticisms, CBN takes full control of government security issuances. All right, let's move away from that and check this headline that is saying 15% petrol import duty suspension may cause job losses, erode investors' confidence. That's coming from the CPPE. Nigerians to stop paying 5 common bank charges from January 2026. That's coming from Oyedele. I'm sure Nigerians are excited about this, honestly, because I mean, sometimes I go online and I see Nigerians dragging some banks to fifth online due to charges. Away from that, I have this one that says that Tinubu sends peace emissary to Plateau, delegates meet Christian clerics, Mayeti Allah leaders, JTF operation arrest notorious gun baller. Still on Nigeria Tribune this morning, why Nigeria's power sector regulatory system is in a mess. That's coming from expert. All right, another headline is saying researchers develop tiny drug-filled robots to fight stroke. Another headline is saying Wiki versus naval officer. Why Nigerian banks no longer trust lands as collateral. I also saw a news yesterday, late yesterday night, that's saying that, the guy, that's Yerima, escaped an assassination attempt in Abuja yesterday, and emotions are pouring in. A lot of Nigerians are saying, oh, nothing must happen to this man. If not, we are going to drag Wiki, we are going to do this and that. But then can we be calm about this issue, at this point in time? Let's cross over to this day. There's a line that says, Pabio, Tinubu has placed search for peace in Plateau as center of national security. I think it's a very good one. We commend the president for doing that. I sent in emissaries to Plateau State to ensure that there is peace in that part of the country. No more impunity, suppression of will to Iraqi assures Nigerians and PDP members. And then Nigerians are saying now that a new sheriff is in town, should we expect more from the People's Democratic Party? Because an urban issue, a lot of persons are saying PDP is dead. But then looking at how the convention played out, even though some persons are saying it was just a waste of money, and then even Wiki's aide, Lalere Yinka, came out to say that it was more of a dirty December kind of thing. It was more of a jamboree because INEC officials were not present due to the court over. But there's one thing I know about this whole court over issue is the fact that the courts at first said that the convention should be postponed, but then they They came to Oyo State and then they got a court ruling that said they can proceed with the convention. However, some analysts and scholars are saying maybe PDP should have gotten a court order from a higher court and not depend on the Oyo State court, a higher court, maybe like appeal court, that can counter all other court ruling before the elder convention. Maybe INEC officials would have showed up because looking at the fact that, a national chairman has emerged and INEC officials were not present, will this stand or will they have to, convene again to determine who is going to be the national chairman? It's a lot to unpack. He's going to help me unpack that too. Let's cross over to New Telegraph this morning. I have a headline that says, insecurity McBurn right U.S. Congress seeks removal from proposed sanctions list. Another headline is saying, UK asylum reforms, refugees to face 20-year wait to settle permanently. Controversial rulings, NBA demands financial autonomy for judiciary. I think it's a very good one. If the judiciary is not financially independent, is a problem. They can compromise at any point in time. Don't forget that a lot of Nigerians do not even have faith in the judiciary as we speak now. Honestly, I think it's something that should be looked into. Let's cross over from the Telegraph to leadership this morning. I have a headline that says, Oshiomhole says People's Democratic Party is dead. Is the party really dead? It's something we'll talk about this morning. Sokoto confirms dengue fever outbreak issues a lot. Another headline is saying federal government project 160 billion naira with output in 2026. No end in sight as resident doctors strike enters day 17. It's a sad one, honestly. And there's sometimes when we talk about the struggles of the doctors and the nurses, the health sector in general, some persons will say, okay, currently, doctors are on strike in the UK as we speak now, because I watched some videos, last week, and then I saw that, doctors came out en masse to protest about, what they are receiving per month, to say that, okay, things have gone up. And then our friends in the UK will complain bitterly about tax, about how much they need to pay for this and that. And of course, the government should look into increasing what they get, per month. There's a lot to unpack, but then can we do better? Let's stop, comparing issues to say that, okay, if doctors can go on strike in the UK, so it's also allowed in Nigeria. These people who have been complaining bitterly about their allowances and some certain things that they need to function properly in the country. Okay, I think it's time to turn to my analyst this morning. I have with me Victor Akile, who is going to help me make sense of the top stories that we have, across the dailies this morning. Welcome on board.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right. Okay, let's start from this particular headline. The doctors, actually, where I stopped. It says no end in sight as resident doctors strike enters day 17. I want to believe that some persons have suffered, because of this strike, and then a lot of things, have gone wrong. At this point in time, what can be done to put an end to all of this? Strike today, strike tomorrow. We are going to stop. We are going to start. Because it's sad, honestly, to see that the health sector is not in a good shape. Honestly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Government should answer them. There is Ministry for Health.
Okay.
There is Assembly Committee for Health. So what are they doing? That's the question. What are they doing? Before, like I've said this before, that before things get to a bad state, there must have been complaints, messages that government was not attending to. The Nigeria Medical Association would have sent several messages to the federal government, to the government, answer us, just like ASU.
Okay.
There have been talks over time that government has not attended to. So I said then that the solution is let them strike. So when we have mortality rates, I think that would hasten the government to do something. Because really, what are they really doing? Like I said earlier, the Ministry for Health, there's House Committee for Health. What are they doing? What are they doing? Then a lot of issues here and there will not even let them undo serious matters. Distractions here and there.
Okay.
Several issues popping up on daily basis. The convention would affect the government. Wike's matter will affect the government. What's this word now? What's going on? This Christian killing, genocide is going on. So they have a lot of things to attend to, meaning their mind is not focused, their mind is not at rest. So they might not be able to undo other serious matters properly. but then it shows the incapability of the government. Issues will always arise every day, but your capability shows that, or your capacity will come to play when you handle those things properly. So one should not suffer for the other. It means the government is incapable. Simple.
It's a sad one, really. I just hope this strike will come to an end for the sake of Nigerians. Let's talk about this headline that says, Wike versus Naval officer, why Nigerian banks no longer trust lands as collateral. I read, a story, and then the people who have great information about this whole thing that happened said, the retired vice admiral was scammed in a way that he bought a land from Santos, a particular company, and the land initially, was put in place for recreation, and it was not supposed to, be something that anybody would buy to say, I want to build a house on this land. And then away from that, I also read a story yesterday that said this Yerima, the lieutenant, that was in that issue with Wike, he escaped an assassination attempt yesterday. And Nigerians, a lot of persons, are trying to pin it, to Wike. While some persons are saying, okay, this might not really be about him. It might be some of the supporters that were not happy with what happened. And then it might be some persons who are just trying to get to Wike to see that, okay, if this can be in the news, a lot of persons will call him out. What do you make of all of this, really?
I'll talk about the two. First, from Santos, one thing I always say about real estate companies or people who do real estate is learn to avoid issues. Be proactive when you are starting out. That Santos that bought that land, perhaps they didn't know that land was marked by government for a recreation center or for a recreation purpose. He just bought the land and began to sell. If he had done his own due diligence, maybe we wouldn't have this issue at all. So the retired admiral likes a land, buys a bad land. He didn't know too that he's buying a bad land. Hence the reason for whatever later happened to the land. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
So let's tackle the problem from the roots. All right? The land was bad. The two buyers now didn't know. Or maybe Santos knew, but needed to remove his hand from the issue. Sold a bad land. Admiral didn't know, bought a bad land. Then we have commotion now. So when we learn to do due diligence before stepping into things, maybe that will help. That's it. Back to Jeremiah escaping that. Well, I don't think Wike will be dumb to go and do that. I'm saying it openly on national TV. I don't think he will be dumb to stage, what's the word now? What did you call it now? An assassination. Because everybody will know he's the one. All right, that's settled. So I can say that it is not Wike. Now, who did it? Like you said, people want to get to Wike through this means. They know if such thing happens, everybody will point accusing finger at Wike. But Wike has been in politics for a while. He's not a small man. He's an old man. He will know that even if he has such attempts, now is not the time. So that is just definitely from people who want to get to Wike through this means. Simple.
Okay, I think it's a fine place to leave that, and I want to believe that after this happened, the security is going to be tight for him because Nigerians are very bent on making sure that he's safe. Away from Wike's story now, let's talk about the headline that says Nigerians to stop paying 5 common bank charges from January 2026. That's coming from Oyedele. And some Nigerians are saying, is this going to stand? Because, talk about the 15% of the import duty that was talked about and recently has been reversed. Are we sure that this will not be reversed as well? Because if you go on Twitter, I don't know whether you have experienced, issues with bank charges before, that sometimes you just wake up and you discover that a certain amount of money has been deducted, and then you start have to make calls, and then later you get to know that, okay, this is what we need to deduct from your account every single month. People are complaining bitterly about that now. Can they trust, Nigerians are saying, can we trust that this will stand come January 2026?
Let's give it a try. That's what I would say. Let's give it a try. Then government or people, policies come, some stand, some will not stand for some other reasons that they will still be able to defend positively, So let's wait till then. Let's give it a try. Now, if it doesn't work, then we'll now ask questions. Why is it not working? Sometimes we fight ignorantly. Let me explain. So there's a policy was laid, and it doesn't affect everybody because some people are not qualified for it and some are. So let's say a policy was said that everybody that uses an account that is 5 years old, an account that is 5 years old, this policy would work for you. Now, an average Nigerian will say, because that policy exists, it should work for me too. But you don't have a 5 years old account. Do you understand it? So sometimes we need to understand the policy properly. It might not cover for everybody. And if it does it have a timeline? Are you understanding me? So what I will say here is, let's wait till January. When the policy has been implemented, it will be effective from January. So let's wait till then. If it now doesn't work, then we'll come back to Oyedele. Ogasa, what you said is not working. So why? Spell it out. Why is it not working for all of us? Or why is it not working in the way you said it?
Okay, let's quickly link this to this. 15. I have an headline here that's saying 15% petrol import duty suspension may cause job losses, erode investors' confidence. That's coming from the CPPE. It's a sad one because sometimes it appears that we do not consider the people that might be affected before we actually say, okay, we wanted to do this initially, but then we are reversing this. Can we look at the numbers of persons that will be affected by this? Because Nigeria as a country, we are still trying to win investors to say, okay, Nigeria is a safe place. We are still battling with insecurity, and then we are not consistent with our policies. We say this today, and then in the next few weeks, we might decide to change our mind, really.
Okay, so let me quickly correct that, or rather, let me quickly speak on what you said. Nigeria is not a safe place to invest as an investor. It is not. There's insecurity, there's economic imbalances. So when an investor is coming, he first thinks of all these things. A lot of investors left Nigeria. Few years ago, a lot of investors, a lot of foreign countries left Nigeria. So how do you explain to another person that Nigeria is safe enough? Number one, they see the genocide, they see the insecurities, they see the kidnapping, they see all those things. So they don't want to come and establish anything here, and maybe they brought their staff members from abroad and then they are kidnapped. Or maybe they erected something and because of protests, they destroyed their structure. And then the imbalance in economy, dollar is rising today, affecting Naira falling, Jakarta for dollar almost every now and then. Nigeria is not a safe place to invest. Only Nigerians will invest in Nigeria. There is no smart foreigner that would think Nigeria is a safe place to invest.
I beg to differ, actually, because we have Chinese companies in Nigeria.
Of course, plenty of them.
And then they have a lot of employers.
Of course.
Do not mention the company's name now.
Don't mention.
But then we have Chinese companies, even some European companies operating in Nigeria.
Are they new?
But why have they not left? Due to the insecurity.
Are they new?
Okay, why have they not left?
I didn't say all of them left. I said some left. Okay. Those ones, of course, we still have banks that afford. We still have a bank that is not a Nigerian bank.
We have restaurants,
and they are still very strong and they are home. You're right. But what I'm saying is, in recent times, have you seen? In recent times now, speaking less than 2 years, a year thereabout, it is not a safe place for any investor, for any foreigner to come and invest. It's not. So those that have not left, they can't leave because the crowd in Nigeria, the population of Nigeria, I bet you might not easily see that anywhere in the world. The population of Nigeria is not easily seen anywhere in the world unless you go to maybe China, Korea, all of that. But then they are established there. They will find their way to, maneuver. But go and check their productivity. Compare their productivity now and their productivity 5-7 years ago. It will reduce. Their production quality would reduce just to maintain what we have now.
But Nigerians that have businesses in Nigeria, they're still running their business.
Yeah, but their quality will reduce. Some are folded up. Yes. Qualities will reduce. What we will buy for this size for a certain amount. Now, this is either of these two tricks is what they still use. So they maintain the quantity but reduce the quality. All right, or they sustain the quality and make it expensive. So it's either you buy the quantity, bad quality with what you have, or you look for more money to buy same quantity in expensive way. So that's what we've been battling with now in the markets.
Okay, it's a sad one, really. Let's talk about another headline where Adams Oshiomhole came out to say that the party PDP is there. The party had the convention last week, and then a lot of persons came out. As a matter of fact, the roads were blocked at some point because of the convention, because a lot of cars, a lot of personalities, came down to Ibadan, to attend the convention. I want to ask you now, at this point in time, the expulsion of Wike, Anyanwu, and others, will it in any way, improve the quality of the party? Because even some Nigerians, apart from some politicians from the APC that are saying the party is dead, some Nigerians are beginning to lose hope in the party. In any way that the convention, helped the party, honestly?
Oh, that's a big one to answer. So those men expelled, I think, is a good move for PDP. I call it what we have and what we don't have policy. This is what we have. Let's work with it. This is what we don't have. Let us know what we have and what we don't have. Do you understand?
Okay.
So I feel removing Ayahu and Wike, Fayose and the likes, these people, truthfully, they've been doing anti-party, obviously. Fayose did a lot of anti-party last election. Today we don't know, or as of Friday, we don't know where Wike was, whether it was here nor there.
Okay.
So yeah, removing them isn't bad. So I repeat myself, it's better that we know this is what I have that I want to work with. This is what I don't have that I need to have. So now that they are out of the party, they will be able to know what else they need to do and who else they need to attract or who else they need to bring on board. So it's a good one for them. It's a good move. Releasing them, let them go. So if what we have are these few guys, let's what's the word now? Let's encourage them. Let's empower them to get what we need. Or if what we have can't get us what we need, what do we need to do so that we can get what we need? So it's a good one. Now, secondly, the party is not dead. Let me say this. If any political party anywhere in the world loses what PDP loses, is that what perfect?
What PDP has lost in the past few months. Yeah.
What PDP lost over the years, over when Goodluck Jonathan left in 20 what? Till now, 2015, yeah? Till now. Will they still survive it? Will they still be alive? Like I always say, I'm not a member of any party. I don't support any party. I just want good governance for an average Nigerian. But I'm now saying, can any party... Do you know the number of people that left PDP? If you start counting by names, do you know the number of big figures that left PDP, deflected to other parties? I mean, Almighty Atiku was one of them. Left. I can keep mentioning big names, even those that you may not know that are not in the mainstream politics, that are in the corridors but in power, leaving the party. And then still they are still struggling to say, no, we won't die, we would, we won't die, we would. And then somebody say a party is dead. He doesn't know what to say.
But Victor, there's one thing we need to look at. The chairman of the convention, that's Fintiri. After the expulsion, came out to say that, I'm not part of this, expulsion of Wiki and Ayahu and the others. And then even Adamawa governor came out to say, I'm also not part of this. It doesn't make sense to Nigerians that you people were at this convention, what happened, and then later you are coming out to say to Nigerians that you are not part of the whole process, that led to the expulsion of Wiki and others.
They are only giving the press food to feed on. Simple. That is a collective decision before pronounced openly. He's the chairman of the convention. Other stakeholders are there. Then someone came out to say they are only giving press food to feed on. Bro, forget it. It is a collective decision. If not, it will stand. I'm happy Natasha was there anyway.
You were happy to see Natasha? There. Okay.
I'm happy.
But then we didn't see some other persons, like Adeleke was not present.
Maybe he had other things. He had a representative.
Okay. Away from PDP now, before we go, let's talk about this headline, because I would love us to talk about it. He's saying that insecurity, Tinubu sends emissary to Plateau to broker peace. Another headline on Gumi Fort call for his arrest, defense engagement with bandit. A lot of persons are saying that why is it that up to now Gumi has not been arrested? And a lot of persons are also commending the president to say that, okay, thank you for sending emissaries to Plateau State, but then we are seeing all that you are doing, but certain things must be done. Certain persons must be questioned and arrested. What do you make of this? Can you balance both now? Because according to Gumi, he's trying to make sure that Nigeria is safe for everyone, by trying to negotiate with the bandits and then make sure that, they surrender at some point. He said there was an airline I read that, because of him, some bandits surrendered willingly. Honestly, I think about 600 of them. And then what do you make of this? Because, a lot of persons are even saying that he's being asked to come and speak on this matter more than other persons. It's a lot to unpack because online, I will see a lot of videos where, Gumi will be asked to come and talk about this insecurity matter, really.
So what the question is, why has government not arrested him?
I'm not saying why has government not arrested him, honestly. Do you think that's the right thing to do?
Negotiating with
exactly.
criminals.
And apart from that, what do you make of what Nigerians are saying that at this point in time, why is it that nothing has been done concerning all that Gumi has said over time and then the things that he had done in the past, honestly?
Okay, first, negotiating with terrorists. Negotiating with terrorists may not be right in some nations. United States would always say we don't negotiate with criminals. That's United States. If it works for another nation, let them negotiate. So if it's working for the northern part, I don't think, I'm not sure, but I don't think I've read the Nigerian constitution to a point that says Nigeria does not negotiate with terrorists. Is it there? I don't think I've come across it.
So because it's not entrenched in our constitution, then we are allowed to negotiate. Is that what you're saying?
If they are surrendering through negotiation, my sister, eventually what we need is security. If negotiation is what will bring security, negotiate. If arresting is what will bring it, arrest.
But a lot Nigerians are saying negotiation over time has not solved any problem.
It has. Gumi has done about 600 bandits surrendered to Gumi through negotiation.
But how do we measure the numbers? And then over time, are we not seeing more cases of insecurity? Bandits are still everywhere.
Okay, government should step in properly. I think what I would just say to this is government should step in properly. Where we need to reinforce military, let's do that. Where we need to dialogue, let's dialogue. So the government should just be sensitive and sensible in the appropriate places.
Okay, I think it's a fine place to leave it, Moses, this morning. Thank you, Victor Akileng, for joining us to be a part of Newspaper Headlines and Analysis. And to our listeners, thank you for being a part of the segment as well. We need to take a short break now. When we come back, a big story will come up with Samson Balogun. My name is Oluwayemi Adelakun. Please stay with us.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
morning and welcome to the big story on Daybreak Live. Today we turn the spotlight on a political crossroads that shaking the foundation of Nigeria's biggest opposition party. The dust has barely settled on the highly consequential Ibadan Convention. Yet, the debates, the divisions, and the declarations emerging from the ground are echoing across national landscape. The topic this morning, new direction or new division, PDP's future after the Ibadan Convention. Was this convention the long-awaited rebirth of the party or the beginning of a deeper fracture? I am Samson Balogun, and thank you for joining us on the big story this morning. The Ibadan Convention did not emerge out of thin air. It came at the peak of months of tension, internal litigations, and power tussles that held the PDP by the throat. Before the convention, the party had been grappling with legitimacy crisis on multiple fronts, court cases from rival factions, conflicting claims to executive leadership, and allegations of anti-party activities created deep cracks in the party's structure. Suspended and expelled members dragged the party to court over congresses, zoning formulas, and caretaker committees. The internal battle between the reconciliation camp and the resistance bloc intensified as stakeholders argued over who truly controlled the soul of the PDP in Nigeria. Statements from the senior leaders such as Bukola Saraki, who consistently advocated restructuring, reconciliation, and a shift from old patterns, further exposed the ideological divide within the party. Now, during the convention, Ibadan became a political battlefield, symbolic and strategic. Yes, the gathering brought together governors, former governors, senators, national officers, grassroots delegates, and aggrieved blocs in the party. While speeches spoke of unity, the atmosphere told another story. Quiet alignments were formed in hotel lobbies. Caucus meetings dragged into early hours. The expulsion of prominent figures such as Nyesom Wike, Ayo Fayose, Samuel Anyanwu, Kamaldeen Ajibade, and others created shockwaves across the hall. For some, these decisions signaled decisive leadership from others, and for others, it was an escalation of intolerance and a purge of dissenting voices. So, after the convention, rather than settling issues, the event opened a fresh chapter of uncertainty for the party. Some expelled members, they have vowed to challenge the decision in court, accusing the leadership of bias and vendetta. Regional blocs began meeting separately to determine their next steps. While the convention was underway in Ibadan, Nyesom Wike was in Abuja relaxing before heading to Lagos for the birthday celebration of his friend, former Ekiti State Governor Ayo Fayose, which saw so many political bigwigs in attendance. The event drew major political heavyweights, including the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, and that further reinforced the Nyesom Wike's strong network across party lines. And before I move on from there, there are so many other people who actually, they were at the party and they were political bigwigs in the PDP. But they were at the birthday party instead of at the convention center in Ibadan, at Adamasingba Stadium. And so many people, they have commented on the gathering. Even Lady Olayinka, the media head to the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, described it as dirty December in November. While Senator Anyanwu, the secretary who has just been unseated, or maybe is coming back, who knows if the court will bring him back to office, he dismissed it as nothing more than a musical jamboree. Well, that's a big one. So there are questions about the legitimacy of new national leadership structures, how the convention outcomes align with court rulings, and what all this mean for 2027. So in the PDP, is it truly repositioning, or the crisis mutating into something deeper? Is Ibadan the birthplace of renewal, or the epicenter of another split? This is the core of today's conversation. Thank you for joining us on this big story. I have with me in the studio a seasoned public affairs analyst and historian, a political scientist. You can call him any name because he knows his audience. And of course, he was on the convention ground over the weekend. He has a lot to tell us on this show this morning. So sit back, relax. There's a lot to talk about. I might as well say you should fasten your seatbelt. Good to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning.
There's a lot to talk about on this show this morning. Yes, but I want to very quickly, You were at the convention ground.
Yes.
What did you see? What did the ambience look like?
It was more of a celebratory affair.
So you liken it to what Senator Ayawu said, that it was more like a musical jamboree?
No, in the sense that there was no tension in the space. So unlike usual conventions where there's this heightened atmosphere, worries and the likes, there was this calm that we're in control kind of affair. The delegates that came in, they were relaxed. The governors coming in, there was less scrutiny, let me put it that way, in that space. It was more of, you know, when you are like a breath of fresh air, of new life. That was the vibe around. So there was never any space of pessimism in camp. Everybody that was largely there in terms of conversations could tell that, oh, we're coming in as a party, we are getting in here, we want to get this done and move on to the next stage. And the results also eventually highlights it, because at the end of the day, as soon as the new leadership emerged, as at about 12 a.m. on Sunday morning, there was this rejoicing. Even so, this time around, not even from just the big wigs of the party, from the average member of the party, you could see them happy that, oh, thank God, finally we are done with this phase. We are moving into a new phase. So that's why I use the word celebratory. There wasn't tension, as it were.
Okay, would you say what you witnessed was a step towards party recovery, or a deeper institutional crisis still looming?
Yeah, I think on the pages of newspaper, a lot of thoughts line would be along the line of there are still issues, which obviously we have to look at how the days leading to the convention, a lot of wranglings. But I'll say on the part of the members of the party, because I believe that what the convention does largely, most times, is to put power in the hands of its members to make decisions. And if it's by the view and the desires of the members of the party, I can say that it's the vibe, the atmosphere signaled a new era whereby people are excited that they are looking ahead into 2027 as a party.
There were major expulsion.
Yes.
Boldly made as a claim on the podium. Here's some Wike Ayawu, who we can say is the former secretary at the time, and we even said his signature was forged leading to this particular Lagos. And, you know, having a nice time with himself and some other political bigwigs across party lines, regardless of PDP, APC, Labour Party, they were all there. Now, moving on, what you saw at the convention, the bold expulsion of some political juggernauts, some political bigwigs in the party, do you see that as a potential crisis? Because these are people who defined the PDP in time past.
Yes.
Is it safe to say the PDP has moved on, or these people are still coming back to haunt the PDP?
Like you've rightly said, it's a bold move, and it was a move that was needed. This is a move that should have taken place immediately after the general elections of 2023, but because of, let's say, relationships within the party, that a lot of persons were, how I call it, were not so forthcoming with this move being taken. So, and it was always going to be interpreted along different unsavory lines. So, for instance, it's either the NWC makes that decision and it's considered a faction against this set of persons, or the NEC not being able to wield this. And basically, the truth is, these were the two entities within the party that ought to have taken those decisions earlier. So what you see happening at the convention in Ibadan yesterday was that the people, the leadership of the party gave that motion to the members of the party to make that decision for them. So as it's just like every, should I call it, association where there's the Congress. So the convention was the Congress of the PDP party. So where the issues were laid before the members of the party that you are the highest decision-making organ of this party. What do you want? So a motion was moved on that basis. So I see it as standing, because even if they go to the courts, based on the constitution of the party and the organs of the party, the convention was empowered. Members at the convention were empowered to make such a decision. So they can't say it's the NEC, they can't say it's the NWC. So even statements from Governor Fintry and the likes doesn't matter at this point. The best they could have done if they wanted to stand aloof was to ensure that that motion was not pushed. And I think that was like the 6th motion or 5th motion made that day. So yeah, they may say they were not informed, but the obvious truth is the most important thing was the motion shouldn't have been read at the convention. The moment it was made at the convention, and the people voted by yeas or nays, it became law to the party. So, and the new leadership of the party are bound by that. So,
which court cases hanging over the PDP here and there? There are so many court cases in court. Even Sule Lamido that eventually joined the caucus also had a case in court against the PDP. Now, would you say the result of the Ibadan convention will still be challenged in court, and eventually one way or the other there's a chance it might be overturned?
Yes, it's going to be challenged, no doubt. I even expect it to be challenged all the way to the Supreme Court. But I think the premise on which the convention went ahead was the court judgment that they extracted from Ibadan. And I've seen a lot of persons question the veracity or the essence of that, considering there are cases in Abuja for it. But when we looked at it, the court in Ibadan also has the ability and is empowered by law to entertain that suit. So itself and the Abuja court, High Court, are of the same powers, same ability. So all the party needed was to get a court ruling that empowered it to go ahead.
One we see there were insinuations that a counter judgment should come from a higher court, but then it was gotten from a court of equal jurisprudence.
Absolutely. I think it's beyond all of this. It still questions. It brings a lot of questions on how political interference from the judicial end is being managed. So, and I likened it to, I think on Thursday or Friday when I came around, I likened it to a scenario whereby if we had to go by all of these wranglings, the convention would not hold even until after the election. Meaning, one person can always wake up somewhere and just cook up one suit and just get a court judgment somewhere, whether it is tenable or not tenable, just to forestall it. So meaning, if they were successful in not getting this done, it means that if INEC says, okay, let's go ahead with another election, another person from the other faction can always go to court again, create another, and they just keep doing that back and forth. And I think at the end of the day, Sule Lamido's withdrawal signaled that there were efforts for reconciliation. So, and I remember that night, and his own issue was largely because he wanted to contest as the chairman, but he cited instances where he was kind of muzzled in not getting the nomination form, and also he wanted to be on the ballot, and that was where his own complaint. So I think when I was following through, I saw like 4 different suits, 3 against 1 for. So, and the 1-4 was the most recent of it. And Ironwood so the grounds for Wiki and the likes would be to say the convention did not go according to the laid down guidelines. And that's something I feel they would argue more in court. But based on information that I was able to gather during the convention up until this morning, because it casted doubts over the convention, I myself had to reach out to party leaders and active members of the convention planning committee to say, okay, what's the veracity of this before people rejoice and say, oh, things are okay. And I realized that as at the time the notice was sent for the convention itself, Anyanwu was still the secretary of the party. So I think his suspension was largely to ensure that nothing affects him, signature, because with the hands he was making move of, there was this fear that as soon as it was probably reinstated and it
was going to stall the
process. Because that signature is integral. So I think whether by hook or crook, they were able to extract the signature from him. And by so doing, the letter has been sent to INEC already. So PDP followed the guideline of notifying INEC at least 21 days before its convention. That was already done. Anyanwu's signature was on it. The only thing was that he was suspended afterwards. So if you are to go by that, because those are the major arguments that they would have, so they need to prove that his signature was indeed forged, as they say, but I doubt it can be forged if the dates on it signal that he was still in office at that point in time. So based on that, the only way, and even the expulsion, when I look at it, is a very interesting scenario, because a lot of things are tied in terms of the decision taken, the legitimacy of the decisions taken, are tied on the argument they will make in court, whether the required procedure for the convention was indeed followed through. So I don't see them going to court to challenge their suspension, expulsion from the party. I don't think they will do that, because them challenging that is them acknowledging that
They were suspended in the first place.
and that the convention indeed legitimately held. So, and it's like shooting themselves in the foot. So the best argument they can make is to ignore it as if the convention never held, and make the arguments from that ground that in the first place there was no convention. So let's return back to status quo before the convention. So I think that's the only argument they would make. But looking on, I also feel, and I assume, and I believe as well, that the party would not have gone into that convention that cost billions of naira if they did not find a legitimate or a legal precedent that empowers them to go ahead with that convention. They could have easily postponed it. It wasn't a big deal. They could have waited another week. They could have waited 2 weeks, a month. But for them to have gone ahead, it's clear that there's a short window for the party to get it right. After stalling for a long period of months, this was the best time they could have gotten it. So at this point in time, and that's what I've learned with life, either wields the power, dictates the tune. So what I see happening is that a faction has taken control of the party right now. So the negotiation is going to take place from a different plane now. They've gone ahead. So no matter how they want to do it, if you go to court, it can drag on and on and on and on for the next 3 months, 6 months. And these guys have the ability to get that happening. So the court will not overnight call it quits.
Some say the current crisis in the PDP is a fight between two friends. That's Nyesom Wike and Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State. They were both part of the G5 governors that pulled out of the PDP during the last election to say, look, if you don't get it right within the party, this is what we have to do. Now, Seyi Makinde and Nyesom Wike are on the opposing ends of things within the PDP. Nyesom Wike, yes, suspended. Does it mean that Seyi Makinde has hijacked the structure of the PDP in Nigeria?
I think that's the simple answer to give, yes. And the inner workings and the public show of camaraderie at the convention shows that the current opposition leader in the PDP today is Governor Seyi Makinde. And you could tell from how he was able to bring in all those governors that showed up, how he was able to get delegates in, the relationships that were formed in hotels, the back end, the backroom deals, negotiations with Sule Lamido, and a lot of other. You could see that you could see the workings of his hand in many of these things, and it also was an opportunity for him to showcase himself as a national leader within the party. So I can say in some ways he has risen to the ranks and is basically just moving up from being an ordinary state governor, in quotes, now to the national level where he's involved with a lot of politicking across the nation. And I think the issue, or where there are issues, or should I say the point at which they diverged, probably would be the manner at which Wike handled post-election. I feel it's a good thing you got your endorsement, you worked against the party, you got your ministerial, then let it end there. But it seemed as if Wike was overstretched it. It was hell-bent on like destroying the party entirely, that this feeling of if I can't have it, nobody is going to have this. And he forgets that the party existed long before he ever even joined the party. And the party is always bigger than an individual. Sadly, in Nigeria, we have empowered strong men over strong institutions, and that's the issues that the PDP and any political party is facing. Even the APC is going to still have its own issues with that, because when emphasis are placed on individuals, when they are taken out of the equation, the whole house crumbles. And that's what happened. Wike had funded the party during
I was coming
to
the issue of funding. One of the reasons some people cited that Nyesom Wike remained a member of the PDP even post-election, when it was obvious that he had been obnobbing with the APC, was the fact that he was the sole financier of the PDP, and he did that for a long time, even when nobody was there. When the likes of Atiku jumped
when
the
they went to
ship
Dubai
and left the party, and they left and went to Dubai at the time. Now, the reason this party was taken away from Wike at this time, or is being taken away from him, is the fact that there's another financier in Governor Seyi Makinde who is ready to bankroll the party regardless of what it will cost. Now, do they have a new financier, and have they actually called Wike's bluff?
I think it was necessary, and this is the first step. So time would tell the intensity or the veracity of the bluff. So it is needed, and I think for every member of the PDP or even a Nigerian watching, they want to see that the party has some measure of control over its members. And that's, with Wike, it seemed as if there was a law governing other members of the party and a law for Wike, or perhaps if Wike was even the law in PDP. He made his utterances look like law and final on the PDP. So there's a lot of persons that want to see that, okay, there's a measure of demand by the constitution of the party on its members. If someone, no matter how high-ranking the person is, goes astray, the instruments of the party, the organs of the party should be able to wield that power on it. But it seemed as if that was, so that's why his suspension was a welcomed one. I don't think there's any observer or any independent, aligned in terms of political thought or party affiliation individual that wasn't happy with such. At least it was like a fresh of breath that, oh, finally you guys have the boldness to take such a decision, even though it is long overdue. So, but now I think time was, and the reason why people are, there's a lot of skepticism also is because of how Wike has coordinated himself or presented himself publicly. So a lot of persons are worried, okay, the kind of personality he is, we know he's not going to let this slide. He's going to do all his best. But I think funding, who pays the pipers, that takes the tune. But I tell people that it's even beyond the coming election. I see all of this as a sort of realignment ahead of 2031 election.
I was about to ask you that question. That do you foresee new alliances or breakaway factions emerging as a result of the decisions made in Ibadan over the weekend? I
see a lot of persons even in the APC coming back into the party. So currently, there are fears in Nigeria within the political circle that with the rate at which governors are decamping, there's a fear that Nigeria is steering towards a one-party state. And that once that happens, the incumbent president would definitely want to position himself as a lifetime president. There are concerns because if he's able to get some things done because of the numbers in the House, no matter how ridiculous it is, there's worries that he could push forward a third-term bill or something bill, and because of that numbers and that court-like following, the House is going to give room to that. So there are a lot of groups quietly in the political space that are concerned about that. And let's also not forget that the northern caucus or the northern part of the country are also very interested. So they are waiting, get this 4 years done, let's move on. So some of the things and perceptions I get from the convention is a subtle realignment. So everyone tends to see it from the view of, oh, the coming election. I don't really see them doing much ahead of this coming election. But I feel like they've laid the foundation, the framework to ensure that they, at least as a party, there's a skeleton or a semblance of a party going into that election. And once that is done, there are a lot of, there are a lot of persons within the APC, for instance, that are also scheming for the next election. That's after this 2027 election. So, and there isn't space for them. So, as soon as that election is done,
the structure within the APC does not currently entertain what they have to bring to the table.
So, everybody's going to be looking at where they can jump in. And PDP is traditionally a northern party with some of it, with a majority of its support base from the south in the southeast. Then it mops up a few others in the southwest. So I expect that is going to go back the same. Most of these governors that ran into the APC, I expect them to still go back out of the APC, probably after the election, because at that point in time, there are going to be new chessboard plays, individuals. And I told someone something yesterday at the convention on Saturday. When we look at the book that was given for the convention, I think I saw 2 governors, and they seem to be largely quiet. That's, I think, is it Taraba State governor? So they seem to be largely quiet, even in the whole affairs of this convention. And the person was like, maybe they were a figure. I said, no. I said, they are the new, first-time governors. So they just have to be quiet, observe. I said, the moment this election coming up goes, and they are they are now in their second term, you'll see them properly scheming, because at that point in time, it is expected that the presidency would be shifting to the north. So at that point in time, you see many of these quiet politicians from the north taking shape, positioning
And
themselves properly.
some of these governors that you said are actually quiet. There are some who are being muted to be on their way to the APC, including Taraba State Governor.
Yes, absolutely. There have been pressures on the governors to the camp. And like I keep saying, it's largely, by my understanding, is to get the numbers in place. The presidency, the APC do not want to go into the general election with in the same political climate in terms of numbers, structures that they went in the last time. They consider themselves lucky.
Especially in the places where they had weaker votes.
Weaker votes. So if you look at, I keep saying it, look at the Southeast.
They're trying to balance
unconsciously. You just notice that traditional PDP parties, people that have never voted for the progressive, all of a sudden are switching. So it's just like saying you're buying their votes without actually buying the vote on election day. So they want to convert the goodwill. So that's 1 million votes that traditionally comes to this
for
party.
the PDP from
let's get it for ourselves through the back door. So they've been, and if you look at it, it's very meticulous, going into the north central areas, going into the southeast, south, just to balance those numbers as it were. So I expect all of that to still continue towards the election, but the PDP convention, I think, has shown that at least at the barest minimum, there is a semblance of individuals in the party, leaders that are already thinking post this year's that, okay, let's reposition this party moving forward. And I tell people, I said, leadership abhors vacuum. The moment Wike had already put that his position in jeopardy, making it appear that you want to be in the PDP, but you still want to...
It was sitting on the fence.
You want to enjoy the largesse of the APC, but we're not seeing you actively doing much to enhance the PDP. He began to lose the trust because the people that are leading are not fools, as it were. These are astute businessmen. These are former governors. These are aspiring leaders. There must be a semblance of trust if they're going to put their all behind you. And he was able to do many of the things he did because he appeared to be pro-party. He appeared to be fighting for the party. He was appearing to fight against issues within the party. So the moment he became the same thing he was fighting, he started losing that support base. And that's what is going to lead to the end of his political career. As far as I'm concerned, Wike can never be president in Nigeria ever again. The APC cannot welcome him with full hands. There would always be that skepticism. There would always be that concern about his person. The PDP cannot trust him fully as well. And he himself does not have the political brand to appeal across base beyond even the Rivers State. He has to use the force and the strength of the federal government to retain control of the party. If he's left for the normal process and the process, Wike is nobody. So all of this interplays indicates that the party leaders currently are already saying that, oh yes, we need to position ourselves post-Wike because this Wike brand is going to fall flat. And once it falls flat, if we don't position ourselves, we'll fall flat with him, which is his plan actually. So all we are saying at the convention for me is new leaders are rising. Governor Seyi Makinde has presidential ambitions. So he knows that he can't afford to play the game that Wike is playing. He can't afford to tow with him up and down. And that's why politics is an interesting space. It is purely personal interests.
So what should the PDP prioritize at this time to avoid their further disintegration in the party?
Reconciliation. Though they always brandish this time over and over. After the election, they said they were going to be a reconciliation committee that was also going to give recommendations on sanctions. But I don't think their report was accepted, as it were. But moving on, I still feel that now that the new leaders have emerged, they should step out and start engaging these guys. I believe that the expulsion and the likes of the individuals that have been expelled can easily still be amended somehow, either by a very quick impromptu meeting of one of the highest organs of the party where concessions are made, but it has to be properly outlined. So if we're absorbing you back into the party, we expect this and this from you in terms of your conduct, in terms of your disposition. We want this from you. So unless that is taken, it's just like clearing the house and still inviting the rattlesnake again into your house. So at the moment, the party needs to first solidify its basis. And I think they made it easy for the PDP also this time around, because as soon as these governors moved out, most of the governors moving are largely governors that were pro-Wike as well. They left a vacuum in their states on the party line. So originally, some of these states, much wouldn't have been done if the governors were there. They could have stamped their foot, they could have boycotted it like Fubara did. And the likes. They could have done all of those things and frustrated the convention. So that's why I said that window was open, very timely. The Oyo State, I think, has the largest delegates at the convention. They had, I think, 160-something delegates. Some states had 64. Some states had 34. And these were largely states that didn't have sitting governors. So it was always going to play in the part of who has the numbers the most. And that's why you could see that alignment between Finitri, Bala Mohammed, Governor Sheyi Makinde. These were largely the three guys that were pushing for that convention itself. So, and they had the numbers. At the end of the day, Turaki emerged because it's on the side of Bala. Arakwaja emerged on the side of Sheyi Makinde. So currently they are in control of the party at the moment. Arakwaja as the national secretary, Turaki as the chairman. So right now they've held the party properly in control. And both of them are sitting governors. They have the ability to fund the party with their office at the moment. So a lot is, and there are rumors that there's a tendency that both also would contest the coming election. Vice President and Vice President, especially since the northern candidate emerged as the chairman of the party. Chairman. So it means automatically the
looks like the game was planned even before now.
So it was came. So what they just needed was a legal basis to work on or move on from that inside agreement they had made. So what we see is that as at the days leading, the numbers, the engagement, most of those backroom deals was just to put the house in order, align it to move. In the next 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or probably by the end of the month, the year, I expect that the PDP leadership would come out to announce that they've zoned the presidency to the south. So to the south, of which the south, Sheyi Makinde is going to pick the tickets, the nomination form, and with Bala Mohammed
on the other hand.
And the party is basically in their control, because the truth is they are wise men and business guys. They wouldn't want to put their money and resources into all of this, go into a presidential election,
knowing fully well
that somebody is going to that it was going to fail, not even by act of omissions on their end, but deliberate individuals in the party ensuring that they want to cause issues, which is what Wike is hoping to do. So Wike still wants to, and that's why it's going to be an interesting thing. I expect him to fight tooth and nail. That's what he did with Fubara, because the respect and the control that he has with the APC is largely
based on what he can bring to the table during the election in the election. States.
So now that's why he fought tooth and nail to ensure that through the back door he was able to get control of Rivers State back. So imagine him losing Rivers State and losing out in the manner he's losing now. So right now, if they are done with this and the court upholds it properly, you expect that all that Wike would have as a form of control and bragging rights would be Rivers State.
Okay, thank you, Temitope Shola, for joining us on the show this morning. It has been an eye-opening session with you.
Thank you.
And the big story ends here on this morning. The Ibadan Convention has left the PDP at a crossroad, one path leading to renewal and clarity, the other to fragmentation and prolonged uncertainty. As Nigerians watch with keen eyes and the political class recalibrates, one thing remains clear. The decision made today will define not just the opposition party, but the trajectory of democratic contestation ahead of 2027. Stay tuned to Daybreak Live. Up next is Trend Watch on the Star. Samson Balogo is my name.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of next level broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before?
All right, welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television, your channel of choice, where inspiration meets entertainment. Now it's time for Trend Watch this morning, and there's a lot to watch out for on the internet as it's currently trending and buzzing on social media. And Oluwayemi Adilaku is still here with me in the studio.
Yes, I'm glad to be back here. Well done, something.
Good to have you back. Well, there's a particular trending story that has been there since last night, and it talks about Lieutenant Yerima escaping assassination attempt in Abuja. Now, while all this, for me, while people will say, oh, that's the handiwork of Nyesom Wike, I, for one, believe he's too smart to play such a game. Especially, even if he wants to play such a game at this time against the Nigerian military, I don't think he will do that. It might just be an handiwork of someone somewhere, or maybe his political enemies trying to pin him to a corner. Do not forget, it was just boxed to a corner at the PDP convention in Ibadan. That being said, he almost lost control of Rivers State. That's another issue he had to face. He fought tooth and nail to get hold of Rivers State. And also with the current issue going around him as a person, going to that particular site, more or less like an insult for him. You might not really be able to stomach it, but making an attempt on Lieutenant Yerima's life, I don't think he will do that at this time.
Honestly, I think I agree with you on this one, because I want to believe that when that happened, I mean, top military officers came out to say that we are going to protect him, because some Nigerians, even as at then, I don't know, a lot of Nigerians envisioned this to say that there might be an attempt on his life because of this altercation he had with Wike. So the top military officers came out to say we are going to protect him, nothing is going to happen to him, because he was basically carrying out overs. So I don't think this is Wike. But then this is Nigeria. I watched a video, and then the woman was saying, why would you say that to Wike? If you try it again, I will do this to you. There's a video like that online. So I don't know. It might be people, it might be some persons who are just trying to get back at Wike to say that, okay, we are going to try this. Even some media outlets, they are saying he was being trained. It was not really an assassination attempt. It was, because I mean, it's an officer. You will know where you are being trained. Even people who have not experienced the army before, they can tell if a car is trailing them or if someone is following them from the back.
When you make a few turns and you realize that's
still following you, and then you're like, I have to be wise. So, just like what we say in Nigeria, you have to guide you anytime, any day. So it was not really an assassination attempt, but then it was more like, it was being trained. But then for clicks, media outlet now, they will say assassination attempt. So I want to believe that now that this has come out, the security will be more, tight for him to ensure that, his life, is in safe hands, to ensure that, okay, nothing will happen to him. I want to believe that even Wike himself might come out to say that, okay, I come against this, or I'm not part of this, because, I mean, it's necessary.
It could even be the military trying to make sure he's safe.
Just trying to follow him. We'll get to know about that, because I mean that happened yesterday night. I think about 6:30 in the evening. That was when I read the news, and then I just saw it, and then other news outlets were posting it already. So it is a very strong one that we need to look out for. We must ensure that his life is safe, and I want to believe that Wike might just decide to speak on this to say that I'm not party to this, and of course,
well, he doesn't have to make any claim as regards now. At least nobody has fingered him to be responsible. There is no investigation that says, look, Nyesom Wike is responsible for this. So coming out to debunk what is not even there, for me, more or less like fanning flames.
Might even spark more reactions from people. Yeah,
and then going by the comments we have here, I think the Timlay Da Silva says, I know a lot of people will view Wike as number one suspect. However, I believe he can't be foolish enough, to make this kind of move. There are people who are trying to create chaos with this issue. This is obviously a setup by people who want to oust Wike as the minister of the FCT.
Yeah, and another comment from Samu Kwe saying, I don't like Governor Wike, but I do not believe for one minute that Wike had anything to do with trying to kill Yerima. To what end? Over a dispute between him and a senior military officer or an unruly altercation. Wike going to such length will create more problems than solution.
All right, I think Samoko also says, I don't like Governor Wike. Yes, that's what he said. And Biodun Adeyanju says, if you have the fear of God, you will know the conspirational elimination works. You eliminate the confrontational just to nail the main in the eye of the storm. I mean, it's certainly not Wike, but the power play that wants Wike out of the office. It won't work. I mean, people have a lot of opinion about this.
Okay, the final comment for this morning coming from Omar Soni saying, if a Navy lieutenant can drive home in peace, can't drive home in peace, what hope do the rest of us civilians have? We're basically extras in somebody else's action movie. Let's not conclude. Let's hope that...
Well, you cannot really conclude and say that. I mean, he has not really come out to say, look, this is what happened. Nobody has explained anything, and I'm quite sure that investigation is currently ongoing as regards. And this kind of story, it will definitely develop. And when it develops, we'll bring it right here on
And just like I said, from what I know about Nyesom Wike, trust me, he might just say one or two about this matter. I mean, because he's not the kind of person that will shy away from talking about things that concern him. It might take a day or two, but the next media party, he might just mention it. Especially, it depends on the person who is going to interview him. If the person decides to talk around that area, the Wike will not speak on it.
You get to hear from him about that. He's a kind of person that feels he's too big to do some things. And then when it comes to him like, did you do it? It will be like, let me explain to you. You know, that kind of, wait, let me explain to you how it all happened. Well, this will be the convenient point to draw the curtains on today's edition of Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. Do well to link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. Well, today is another day to rewrite history. You have a pen and you have the paper because it's a brand new day. Samson Balogun is my name. Until tomorrow, when we shall be meeting on this same station, same host, same program. Bye for now. Keep being good. Keep being safe out there.
All right, my name is Oluwayemi Adelako. I'm saying good morning. Be intentional about your goals and have a great day. Bye for now.